Product provided by NIS of America. Penny Punching Princess is an action beat-em-up game designed with a cute, adorable pixel art style to it. Don't let the cute visuals fool you though, this is a world of greed, a world where money does buy happiness. In fact, it can almost buy anything. Pay your way past enemies or just beat 'em up as a princess trying to get revenge for her family. Penny Punching Princess comes to the Nintendo Switch on April 3rd for $40. Penny Punching Princess stars, well, a penny punching princess. The name is very fitting. You're this young princess who's trying to avenge her father. Her father had fallen into debt hell when borrowing too much money from the fittingly named Dragoloan Family. Now with their kingdom collapsing, the princess is pissed off and is going to do everything she can to get it back, whether that means beating you up or paying you off. Penny Punching Princess has a humorous narrative that doesn't take itself too seriously, but that's also what makes it rather enjoyable. The only audible character in the game is actually the narrator himself, who chimes in from time to time with his deep, masculine voice. The in-story characters instead make slight mumbles that fit their little character portraits, and it's rather adorable. You have some minor traits with the writing, like a cat character that constantly throws in an yeah any chance it gets, and a beetle advisor to the princess that constantly gets confused for a cockroach. It's a lighthearted story that's perfect for this quirky beat-em-up game. Penny Punching Princess follows a lot of the traditional beat-em-up mechanics that the genre is known for. You have your light and heavy attack that you can mix and match for a minimal amount of combos. To dodge attacks, you can use a dodge roll that is also a nifty way of moving a little bit quicker through the environment. Being a beat-em-up game, it can be a bit challenging to spice up or differentiate the formula of the genre. Penny Punching Princess attempts at doing this by using money. The princess is always equipped with her handy calculator that plays a large role in the combat. Throughout the game, you'll collect money from chests that you'll find in the environment and enemies that you defeat. Using the money you collected, you can actually use the calculator to bribe enemies to join you and fight against their own kind. If you see a large dragon in front of you that you'd rather pay off than have to fight, you can pull up your calculator with the ZL button, enter the amount needed for the dragon, and click enter. While the feature itself is cool, the problem is that you'll have to input this all in real time while the game is running. This means that I found myself constantly running away from enemies just to get a decent amount of distance between us, so that I would have time to enter the currencies and pick the enemy I wanted to buy. It's a bit hectic, and it gets worse when you have to do it in a confined space with nowhere to run. The game tries to remedy this by giving you an autofill option that you can activate with the ZR button. This fills in the price to match whatever you're trying to buy. You then use the analog stick to select which enemy you're trying to buy. It's a bit easier to navigate, but I found myself still occasionally messing up and selecting the wrong enemy. If you're playing this in handheld mode, it's a bit easier to manage because you can turn on the touchscreen mode that lets you input the currencies with the Switch display. So in terms of controls, this does cater a bit more towards the handheld mode than the dock mode. Back to mechanics, the calculator plays a large role in the combat. When you do bribe an enemy to join you, they essentially become a summon that you can activate with the X button. It can get really handy to bribe someone like a large dragon to fight off other large enemies. Enemies aren't the only thing you can buy though. You can buy relics that essentially are hazards in the environment. These can be things like cannons or flame tunnels. They deactivate when you buy them, but then can be reactivated at your command like if it was a summon. They play the role of traps against your enemies if you buy them. In addition to being able to bribe your way through enemies, your calculator has some other skills, one of which is the coin miracle. With this feature, you can gamble a certain amount of coins for a special effect. Usually the more coins, the better the effect, or the higher chance of a good effect being played. And they can do anything from giving you a heal to making you bigger for extra damage. It's a really useful feature that I found myself falling on during boss fights in particular. Bosses are huge and they can't be bribed, so when you're fighting them, I found that taking coins from smaller enemies in the area and then using them in Coin Miracle was my best method of attack. It was a good way of regenerating some health or just becoming stronger so I can actually fight the boss. That mostly covers the combat of the game, which is a huge part of it, but there's also a whole RPG mechanic to it too. When you're back in your kingdom, you get access to a whole micromanagement system. You can equip armor with different buffs, level up your character stats, and change up your hidden skill. It's sort of a special move or a special attack that takes some time to regenerate. This is the same area where you'll find all your bribed citizens that actually act like an achievement system. Collecting a certain amount of total bribed citizens gives you skill points that you can then use to level up the princess's battle stats. You can actually see the merits of your battles come into fruition and those rewards being put back into future battles. It's an intuitive yet simple upgrade system that works really well with this game. Penny Punching Princess has an adorable little art style to it that goes completely against the attitude of the main character. The game is entirely done in a pixel art style that looks cute and charming, which is ironic because the princess herself is a bit butch, pissed off, and just punching her way through anything she can. The confliction of themes is somehow even more cute. Having to review this game, thus capture a lot of gameplay for it, I played a lot more in dock mode than I did in handheld mode, and I noticed a few differences in my playtime. In handheld mode, since the game is a bit closer to my face, I noticed that the background environments were a bit more blurry than the sprites for the princess and the enemies. It certainly made the characters stand out a bit more, helping them not get lost in the environment, but I couldn't help but notice the extra blur in the environment. When playing in dock mode, it's a bit harder to notice with all the action blown up on the 50-inch 4K TV though. There are some stylistic art choices here that can be confused for frame rate drops. When you land a strong punch or defeat a big enemy, you'll see the gameplay almost twitch a bit to the direction of your punch. A slight stutter will happen on occasion too. It sort of gives each punch an extra oomph of power. Aside from my nitpicks with the backdrops though, I enjoyed the art style choices with the game and thought they scaled up pretty well on the TV and mostly okay on the handheld mode. Penny Punching Princess has a marvelous soundtrack backing it. There's a variety of tracks that mix up the different environments, something much appreciated because it seems like a trend with most beat 'em up games that like to reuse the same music over and over again. In the case of Penny Punching Princess, it offers different tracks for the different chapters of the game that give off a quirky vibe to it. If you can somehow imagine in your head a Kirby Cross Paper Mario song, that's the best way I could describe the music in this game. It's fun, upbeat, and stylish. If you don't pick up this game, at least do yourself a favor and look up the soundtrack for it. Now there is a bit of voice acting in the game, though it's only done by the narrator. You can change up their voice to either English or Japanese in the game settings, but either way you're treated with a magnificent voice. Penny Punching Princess is a mostly splendid beat 'em up game that tries to spice up the genre. The money aspect of the game is captivating and it sells the theme of the world being filled with greed and capitalism. However, the implementation of the feature isn't done in an entirely satisfactory way. The controls for the calculator can get a bit cumbersome, making the gameplay feel a bit unnecessarily more difficult than it needs to be. Luckily, the combat and micromanaging RPG elements keep the game feeling entertaining, though I don't think it matches up with the current $40 price tag. While I think the overall game is adequately fun, it's one that I'd recommend picking up on sale rather than at full $40. That does it for my review of Penny Punching Princess for the Nintendo Switch and the Vita if you buy it in Japan. If you have any questions about the game or upcoming games you'd like me to review, let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like and hit that bell icon next to the subscribe button to be informed when I upload a new video. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.